Hi folks, welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today's video is a description of a hi-fi that we've just fitted to this VW Tiguan. Now the interesting thing about this hi-fi is it isn't just applicable for the Tiguan, it could go into a Mark 6 Golf, Mark 7 Golf, Mark 8 Golf, lots and lots of other cars. Tweeter positioning can often be a problem in newer vehicles, especially the VW range, but what we've done in here is to build some A-pillars. So you've seen these before, we've showed you quite a few videos where we show these A-pillar builds. The idea is we get the tweeter out of the factory location. Here it's in the top of the door, which isn't ideal. It's okay, but it's not ideal. It's just a little bit nicer at the top here. So we fabricate this, well, this is the original panel. We fabricate the tweeter recess into it, and then we trim it in Alcantara to give you this, what I think is a really luxurious, really cool sort of funky look. So you've got the left tweeter there, and you've got the right tweeter here. Quite a bit of work in there. It takes a day to do the A-pillar builds and to trim them nicely. We recess them in at the top. The reason why we do that is so that the build doesn't stick out too far. So by recessing it in at the top and bringing it out slightly at the bottom, as you can see when you look at it, you know, it's not a huge kind of build on there. It's quite slim. Now, I'll just take you around the back actually and show you the amplifier. So JL Audio, Audison have just released this new range of amplifiers. It's currently January 23. These haven't been out long. We've installed 3 of them this week. They're pretty impressive. There's a whole range of amps, various channels. This particular amplifier, which is upside down, but what you can see if you look at the model number, it's an M5. So that tells us it's a 5-channel amplifier. Spare wheel used to live here. The customer wanted to lose a spare wheel because we want to keep all his boot space. So before we began the installation, we've taken everything out the bottom and we've installed a 4mm soundproofing product on the floor and then a 6mm squidgy foam over the top of it. We've created our amp rack, for want of a better word, and we've retained that with a fixing in the center there. So we've welded up a T-piece, slotted that into the spare wheel locator, and then put a bolt in the top there, pull the whole thing down. So there's no fixings for the outside of the car. The subwoofer is a JL Audio W3 8-inch, so it's called a CP108. It's a reflex enclosure, really, really good, terrific value, and it just happens to fit in really nice. We've got lots of room above it, so the floor pan can go and it has no effect on the subwoofer. I'll just pop the box there so that I could show you what that looks like. All the cabling you can see is pretty neat as it comes out the back there. So you come out the original slots on the amplifier, everything's shrink tubed and covered in this lovely pretty mesh, which just makes it look nice and gives it a bit of extra protection. If I'm honest, it's not really necessary, but you know, looks nice, so might as well get it on there. It's not very expensive. The amplifier is 5 channels and has an onboard DSP, so it's a digital sound processor. That means that it takes the analog input from the factory radio, chops it up, so digitizes it, and then allows us to manipulate that signal within the digital sound processor. So we can equalize, de-equalize, time align, all sorts of clever stuff, alter the crossover frequencies and the slopes, all within a digital domain. The interface that plugs in, that runs on a laptop, we can also plug a microphone into it. We can run pink noise for the system. We can look at the system's response. So it's a very powerful little bit of software, very clever on the new amplifiers, and also quite easy to use. And as we mentioned before, Audison are going to roll this out across all their products, so you'll just have one piece of software to drive everything. That's nice. Now that processor also has a controller. We call it a DRC Control, and that's this little knob here. So it's currently on a surface mount, and we can actually control lots of the amplifier's function from this control here. So we can increase and decrease the volume if we wanted to. It acts as a master volume, although we wouldn't necessarily need that in this particular installation. But if we press it once, it goes over to our source input, and we can then change to analog to optical, for example. Press it again, it goes to our preset. So in here, in here we have got preset A and preset B. The difference being A is driver time aligned, so we've got all the instruments here in the center and the vocals in the center, whereas when we set it to a neutral position, we've time aligned everything to a position in between the 2 seats, so both the driver and the passenger should get equal enjoyment from the system. If we press it 3 times, it's going to go across to our subwoofer level controller, so we can then adjust. I'll show you that. So press it once, goes to source selection, Press it again, goes to our preset selection. Press it again, we're into subwoofer level control, and then simply turning the controller clockwise and anti-clockwise will increase and decrease the level of the subwoofers. Press it again and it goes to our final curve control. So with this product you have a final curve, so in other words it's like a fairly simple 5-band EQ right at the end of the process, and you can make some gentle changes to the overall balance of sound. You can switch that in and out using the controller. So this is a trick little bit of kit. Quite a few functions there on one connector. So what we've done is we've created this short card which comes with every system. We've printed this out and minimized it so we can leave one in each car, just to give you a very easy overrun of how that little controller works. So we thought that's quite a good idea. So there you go, sound quality in here is, as you expect, excellent. Soundstage is nice and high, it's nice and detailed. We're using Audison Voce components, we use a lot of those. And I don't need to tell you, but in the door, we've actually added 4 layers of acoustic treatment. So that is a painstaking process. It's a whole day's work just to soundproof those doors, but it's absolutely essential if we want to get good sound from the bass driver, and we want to get plenty of mid-bass and lots of efficiency in there without having lots and lots of resonance. That's really the longest part of the installation, if I'm honest. It's soundproofing those doors. So there you go. That's a universal hi-fi, if you like. It's compatible with many, many vehicles. It's not hugely expensive. This one's completed in 3 days. The reason why it takes 3 days as opposed to 2 is because of the A-pillar builds, which actually, just looking at them from here, look pretty sexy. I think you'd have to agree. So there, if you've enjoyed this fascinating video and description of the car audio, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We post lots and lots of stuff just like this, and we hope you enjoy it.